Alright, so welcome back. We are going to finish this thing up to the point that we could potentially call it done for today. So essentially at the end of this episode we'll have a rundown of what I did and how much it cost, and then we'll look at what we're doing for future upgrades for more fun and more utility purposes, I guess you'd call it. But for right now, we've got this gap between the fender and the unibody that usually you have the plastic splash shields up around, but because we've got the tires going on, we can't really have that bolted in. So I've already cut out these guys. We're just gonna hog a couple screws into it in there, and then we'll do a little more waterproofing to try to keep some of the mud and gunk from getting too far up into the car. So I've already got these cut out. Let's just get fitting them in. Alright, so we just slide these things up. Really nothing too horribly special. Get ourselves a drill hole in here. Guess that looks like a hole. Let's embiggen this hole a little bit. And there we go, that's pretty much a splash guard. Just for good measure, let's throw another screw in here. Now I'm just going to try to clean up most of these surfaces with scuff pad. Alright, now we are going to seal up some of the major holes with my secret weapon, spray foam. But this isn't standard spray foam. This is the Pond and Stone variant, which means it comes out black. So these big voids, like underneath the fender section, get a little bit of that foam in there. A little bit up in there. A little bit of a hole there. Then we'll just throw a small bead of it up. Around this flare. So I'll seal it better from the top here. We can cut this back once it cures up here. It'll also give a little more of a positive push on the flares. So yeah, we'll let that cure up a little bit. Then we'll take a stab at it with some caulking. So we'll just come around all these edges there with some urethane black caulk. We'll clean this up and then caulk that top edge as well. And we'll be set. So, while I let that cure, I'm going to swing over to the other side and throw on the other one. Alright, so after that cured up, we threw down a little bit of undercoating, and I sprayed that on the outside of the fender wells as well to try to encapsulate that edge that we cut. It's one of those things, everything's not super pretty when you look on the underside, but it'll be good enough. We've got enough room to maneuver and get everything working that way. So, we got that. We got back end coming together here a little bit. I'm probably going to have to get like a heat gun and heat that up and try to coax it a little closer to the shape I want. And we got this side curing up. And this side has the opposite issue, so I'm prying it up a little bit, waiting for the foam to cure underneath. And then when I pull that out, hopefully the foam will support it just a little bit and we'll be closer. We're kind of more or less aiming for the horseshoes hand grenades approach. This guy's pretty much all in and done. So that's not too bad. Once we get the fumes out of here and some of this other stuff cleaned up, we're gonna have to tackle moving this windshield washer fluid bucket, because that's not a good spot for something that important. Anyways, let's wait for this to cure up some more and get to work on the bucket. Alright, so I pulled the windshield washer fluid bucket out of the front and found a spot back here that we put it. Ran a bolt straight through, so we got that anchored there, and of course that's not going to completely hold it, so we're going to have to make a bracket that comes across here, probably down to 2 legs, so that way it'll be fully suspended. That is not too bad. Then we'll just have to extend the wires and the hose and we'll be set. Alright, so I got the water bottle in there. Kind of got it tied in here with this aluminum frame. It's not going to jump around or go anywhere. Probably wouldn't want to flip the car over because it's not fastened down onto anything. It's just kind of sitting here. So essentially I ran it completely underneath. And we can barely see up here. I came up behind the shock and back up and made a junction right about there. So that's all out of the way. Got everything buttoned back up again. So it kind of looks like a car. And I think we're just about good to go. We can call this thing phase 1 done. Alright, so for the most part, the Camry is done. At any point in time, it could be taken out, run as the Safari vehicle that it was built as, and there would be nothing wrong with it. So, at this point, let's figure out how much money we have shoved into this thing. Our big ones are going to be the tires, of course. So, between the tires and wheels, tires are approximately $100 a tire, wheels $50 a wheel, so 400 plus another 200. We're at roughly $600 for the tires. Let's just round it up to 650 because you can, of course, throw your taxes on there and all that type of stuff. Actually, let's just round it to 700 to take into account balance and valve stems and that type of stuff. So 700 for the wheels and tires, $100 for the front suspension. So there's nothing really special there. That was just Camry 2003, so a newer model Camry suspension in the front. So $50 there on each side. So we're at 800 plus our flares. That's 850. If we want to count our wing, now we're at 900. And then extending the rear struts, that's approximately $30. So nothing big there. So we're at what, 930 plus probably $30 a bumper. So 990. And let's throw our caulking on all the other stuff. And we're at approximately that $1,000 mark. So it is a little expensive if you think about it in terms of super cheap vehicle, putting almost the same amount as what it's worth into it. But then again, when do you get to have a vehicle that looks like this? So, we could stop here, but you know how I do it. I don't really stop at the very forefront there. We gotta throw on a couple more things. We need some more off-roading lights and that type of stuff, some recovery equipment. So we'll keep building on this thing here into the future, and by the looks of things, I really like how it's turned out. So, thanks for stopping by and watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this project. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't, because there are other projects that I work on around here that are pretty interesting, including, of course, the Turbo LS Crossfire and a bunch of other stuff that we're doing. So, make sure to stay tuned, and we will keep building. So, thanks again for stopping by, and we'll just have to see you again later.